Oh, Andy. I can't get to the button because Zoom has blocked it. Hold on a minute. What the fuck?
Great intro.
Yeah. Oh, hold
Do you
up.
want to make a
There we
note?
go. Welcome to Is
Notes
These. Yeah,
are
that
available.
stupid note button is
Hey, there are
blocking my
notes now.
ability to. Right. Zoom. It sucks. Right. So,
Complete
everyone,
professional.
we are professionals. Right. So, anyway, hello, as always. Welcome to Is These. And in a big shock creative decision, all three of us decided to turn up today.
Woo!
Woo!
So anyway, as always, you have myself, you have Neon, and you have Benedict. Hello, 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 hello. There's a couple of things we wanted to talk
Hello.
about today that I think are going to be quite different. So let's just dive in with the first one. Me and Benedict just heard it for the first time. New song from One Five. Neon, do you want to like introduce who One Five are to us? I vaguely know. Benedict, I
Yeah.
don't think knows it all. You're the guy
Well,
who knows more.
so One Five are a group consisted of some of the girls from Sakura Gakuin. They got brought up obviously through the system. They all came together through various girls. This is one of their
Sounds
songs,
like they were in like child prison or something. They
a
grew up in the
child
system.
prison. And to be fair, that
Juvie.
was
They
child
were
prison. That's
juvie.
like the best child prison ever. Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
Sakura Gakuen was a
Idle
juvenile.
juvie.
So,
It's
um, but yeah, they've just released a brand new song coming together. It obviously references baby metal quite a lot, but if for those that maybe you'd in the know would know that it's not quite a baby metal reference, but a Sakura Gakuin reference as well, with the girls containing in the group. So it depends how you look at it because Kano's in this as well, who was obviously part of baby metal, the Avengers for a little bit.
I don't
So
feel this intro is making it any
there's
clearer.
so much crisscrossing wires here. I just love how meta this whole entire song is. But yes, it's a new song by them, really really catchy. Obviously focuses a lot on Doki Doki Morning references as well. And straight off the bat, I got to say that I'm a huge fan of it. I quite enjoyed
Uh,
it.
All right, I'm just going to try and put those pieces together. So Sakura Gakuin was a school idol group that spawned baby metal, but also a lot of the members went out to do other things, including Metalverse. And One Five is one of those projects that was spawned from a lot of the ex-Sakura Gakuin members. I think they're all ex-Sakura Gakuin. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe
Um,
they are, yeah.
and the funny thing is that that group has actually been around for a couple of years now. It's been around for a little while, but suddenly they've released this song which references Doki Doki Morning. It has a loop from Doki Doki Morning that comes up a few times quite prominently, and it actually has a lot of Doki Doki Morning references in the choreography, in a couple of lines of the lyrics.
Mm.
And Doki
Ring,
Doki Morning
ring,
was the
ring.
first baby metal song, but correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but it was originally actually it was being done by Sakura Gakuin before Babe Metal came into existence. So when Babe Metal was created,
Yes.
their first release was Doki Doki Morning, but that song had already been a Sakura Gakuin song
Yes. I think it's one of the
prior.
songs that is also released as a Sakura Gakuin song on one of their albums or whatever they have.
Thank
Uh,
you, Baby
yeah.
Metal Nerds.
Just like, can I ask you guys, don't they have like in Sakura Gakuin, you can maybe educate me. I admit I don't know too much about it. Don't they have like what's the term of it in English? Like every year, like you have in school, there are different
There's a
Graduations.
graduation, yeah.
graduations.
So
Yeah.
the oldest girls graduate and they move on, and then there's a new intake of younger girls that come
Yeah.
in.
But
Um,
it's not all
But it's
refreshed.
like
Like
it's always like a
some go,
pool of people. It's not like you
yeah,
separate them for through years.
there's
yeah,
a
so
lot of them. There's a
there's a
lot of
lot.
them.
There's a lot of them. They
All
went on
right,
for
all
a
right.
couple of years. I got to admit, it's probably been a fair few years since I've gone back to Sakura Gakuin myself. I'm probably long overdue, actually, a refresh myself for Sakura Gakuin. But when I watched it the first time, I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. For those who haven't watched it, like
We're
it's
talking about this new song now, right? The new song you thoroughly enjoyed, or do you mean
Oh,
Sakura
yo, no, I
Gakuin?
meant Sakura Gakuin as a whole. But yeah,
Oh,
no,
sorry, sorry.
I thoroughly enjoyed the new song as well. I really like the fact that the girls came together. I really like that it's a bubbly, fast-paced song. I also like the baby metal references as well. What I particularly like about this is the fact that they use the references, but I don't think the song overly relies on it. It feels like a chef's kiss, like nostalgic feeling rather than oh, this song is just a Doki Doki rehash. That's all we've got kind of situation.
Yeah.
Not
Um,
just member berries.
yeah,
Yes.
it's not just we've
I mean,
got nothing else.
even the
Let's
line in the beginning where it's actually you think it's like the Doki Doki morning line, even that is slightly enhanced or like made different. So exactly, but it's slightly different from the Doki Doki Morning.
Well, when it comes up in the bridge as well, they play it through even more different things. Oh, mosquito. Gotcha. They have even more different little sounds come up then. And so they do like different versions of it as the song progresses. And I also one of the things I really liked is that it doesn't, although it has those little hints, it doesn't rely on them too heavily. Like the chorus, for example, really just sounds like its own song. You know, the whole song really does feel like it exists without the Doki Doki references. It's just the Doki Doki Morning references are in there to give it a bit of a through line, a bit of a connection, a little bit of a nostalgia. But it's not like it's hanging on them just going, desperately give us views, give us views. Remember, we used to be connected to Sakuragaku. And it's like, no, it's just like a charming little callback. And if you knew nothing of Baby Metal, nothing of Sakuragaku, you would enjoy this entirely as its own song, I think. So that's it. My one thing I would say though, and I'm interested how guys feel about this. I think that we look at it as being quite charming, partly because those Sakuragaku references make it better for us. However, I will be honest, I didn't get too much into Onefive in their previous however many releases because for me, they were nice, but they always just kind of felt a little bit generic pop group. They never really stood out much. And I hate to say it, but this song, it is catchy, it is nice, but it is also still I don't know. I like it. I think I do enjoy it, but I don't think I would necessarily come back to it too much. It's like it's nice, but it's not nice enough to make me go, "Oh wow, I really need to get into Onefive now." Just kind of like "Oh, that's cool. They're doing interesting things. I'll keep an eye open for their next release," rather than "Oh wow, I got to go check out more Onefive right now." What do you think
Personally,
about that?
I think it's a good stepping stone for them. I kind of agree with you, to be honest. I've known about One Five for a while, but just kind of like, for some strange reason, they've just been kind of more on the periphery than anything else. I think this is a good way of almost starting over a little bit for them. It feels like a fresh start in a kind of weird way. So I hope now the next thing for them now is like what the next song's going to be. Is it going to be a mediocre
Give me
song that I
chocolate.
think dies, that kills the hype, or is it going to be that next step? So I think this is a really good song. I think the chorus for the song really slaps. I love how energetic it is. It's catchy. It makes you bop on the spot. I know this because I just watched Benedict going like that as he was watching it. Yeah. And I think it's a great step in the right direction. Maybe am I looking at it through rose tinted glasses a little bit because of the references, because of the Doki Doki Morning, because of Sakura Gakuin Girls? Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a hefty bit of
but it's not cynical rose tinted. I don't think
no.
that the references are so heavy handed that they're just trading entirely on that. I just think that's kind of the hook that brings you in, and then you stay for the nice, fun poppy song.
Mm.
Benedict.
I mean, like Neon mentioned, I did quite enjoy my listen to this, but I would also kind of agree with Howard, but also for the reason that it's not my typical style of music. I just prefer my music to be a little bit more,
Growly.
no, just like instrument based, not purely
Mm.
electronic. And
Mm.
this is a very electronic, housey. I mean, it has a lot of fun energies, and I would not skip this song necessarily if it came up. But I have to also, I wanted to talk about a bit about the video because I have to say the video is quite the sparkly pink
I
stars
I
in
love
your
it.
face
just
type.
Just before we dive into that, I actually think you made a really interesting point there, which is that sometimes a good way of describing a song can be like, okay, if this came on, I wouldn't skip it, I'd enjoy it, I'd have fun with it, but I maybe wouldn't go searching for it.
Yeah.
And I think that actually is a really good way of describing this one. Is like if this came on, I'd smile, I'd bop along, but am I actively going to be searching for this song next week? Well, the funny thing is I already knew this song was out like about was it a month ago when it came out? I already
Yeah.
knew this song had come out and I wasn't actively hunting for it back then. So yeah, I just think it's charming. But anyway, sorry, you were saying about the video. The video I think was really colorful, lots of ideas. Did remind me a little bit of those kind of K-pop throw everything at the wall, just have the girls green screened in front of lots of different scenarios, have them quickly changed. Oh, look, it's the gears from Doki Doki Morning MV, and then on to the next thing kind of.
Yeah.
So it was a lot to throw at you, but I think in a charming way.
And I feel like also there seems to be quite the budget behind it because that looked nice.
I think that green screen technology and home editing is just getting that much better.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, definitely some money behind them. The girls have definitely got the talent. I think they've proven that over the years and stuff. I really hope that this is again the bridge, then the next step for them. I can't help but look at this one a little bit, and it's hard now. I think to look at these
All right.
videos.
Well, if you've been taking the medication, it should be bad.
Hmm?
Yeah,
I
that
didn't
joke
get
went over
that.
my head as well.
Oh,
It's hard over the
anyway, Karen.
last couple of years to kind of look at these things now, or doing what we've done or what I've been doing for like 7 years now. And sometimes it's just
Being hard
nice
for
to
that long,
do.
you should seek a doctor. Anyway, Karen, that's right. Uh,
Mm, mm.
And yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this now. I've lost track twice, being interrupted.
Yeah, yeah.
Just yeah, it's really nice. It's good. I like it.
I mean, I can't really make the comparison. Maybe, Howard, do you know there are some earlier stuff? How
not
does
so
it
much.
compare?
Not so much. I mean, it just kind of like their early stuff was pretty minimalist, fairly nice pop. Just it didn't really grab me hugely. But so what would you want this to be a bridge to though, Neon? Like you said that you kind of felt like you wanted this to be a bridge to something. And that's kind of where I guess my main thought is like, okay, where do they go from here? Because I mean, it has been bringing in the views, but what next?
The next songs, really, to be honest, they need to keep the momentum up. Like the difference between the previous releases and this release is, like, as I said before, this feels like someone's hit a bit of a reset button a little bit, and made a bit more of a conscious, like Benedict said, a bit more of a conscious effort to make a video that really pops and stands out. Like, feels like people have put their heads together, going, well, how can we make this viral and really kind of go big? Let's do a big, colorful, you know charming Japanese video, but with that Doki Doki references that we know that we're going to pull in our already loving fans from like Sakura Gakuen, Baby Metal, Metalverse. Like, you've got those pool of people all ready to go. So this really feels like an effort to, like, okay, now's the time to kind of shine a little bit, and to kind of really push on with One because I do feel like even with their previous releases, and I agree with Howard on this one, they've kind of been there, but they've kind of been floundering a little bit, not really with their own identity and not really pushing to great heights. So I see the song and I just look at it and I go, this feels like the opportunity, the hit that I feel like they needed. A hit is a
So
very
in
subjective
what
thing.
ways would you say has this song improved over their previous
Well,
things?
just in terms of views, in terms of traction, in terms of people talking about One now a little bit, like it's definitely rattled a few cages, and it's got more people looking at them. So I say hit. I wouldn't say it's a hit in terms of, like, worldwide hit numbers or anything, but I think it's a hit for
Two
them.
million's pretty good. Yeah,
It's
I mean,
pretty good. It's still pretty good. Yeah.
In 1 month?
I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of what you're describing is probably down to the image and marketing, and I actually think that's a pretty fair point. In that, the I wouldn't say that this song is exactly what I describe as like the catchiest hit ever, but then again, their previous songs were, of a similar kind of ilk. Maybe this one's got a few more tricks up its sleeve with the Doki Doki Morning references, but this one. Yeah, it's like they do seem to like roughly be doing the same thing they were doing before musically in this song as with the previous singles I heard. But I do think it's fair to say that this one has a much more distinct image. Because you were mentioning about the video and making it pop more. Like I remember when I saw there was one of their first videos, it looked like they were performing in like the lobby of an empty bank or something. It was just like this really bland background. And I was like, I don't know. Whoever chose this, it really felt like they just didn't know what they wanted to do for the video. And admittedly, they've probably had more videos. Well, they have had more videos since then. But I never really felt like they had a distinct image. Whereas this one, like Neon says, pops off the screen. It actually reminded me a little bit of like the whole Fruit Zipper thing that we've got at the moment with groups like Fruit Zipper, who've been really playing this colorful image that so many people have been getting into recently.
In a weird way, it kind of reminds me of why kind of like I got into Japanese kind of like J-pop in the first place, where you can have like those like really somber experiences, but you've also got this crazy, zingy, colorful side that let's be honest, I don't think you can find that anywhere else in the world. It's distinctly Japanese. And it just reminds me of that, a little bit. It kind of brings that nostalgia a little bit for me, where I'm like, I really like this, and it's a nostalgia thing of, oh, I like Sakura Gakuen, oh, I like what they're doing here with the references, but it's also I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is kind of why I liked J-pop and fell in love with Japanese music in the first
Yeah,
place,
same.
and that's saying something coming from a guy who's predominantly metal focused, so.
No, but I feel absolutely similar. I'm also a metal guy, but I feel like Japanese pop, even though I still am not a huge pop fan, but I still can really appreciate something like this because it's not boring and
Mm.
a lot of different countries produce other kinds of pop, which is boring, in my opinion. But like Japanese music it has so many different layers and details in it. Yeah, a lot of fun.
It feels
Yeah.
like there's a much more, like you said, like it never feels like it's complacent, like someone just sat down and did the bare minimum to get a catchy hook and a catchy beat. It actually feels like the songs have a lot of loving, playful, clever ideas put into them, and that people actually enjoyed making them
Yeah.
rather than try to
Exactly.
create the
This
maximum
this is
algorithmic impact.
Yeah, this is fun, like colorful, like wholesome, happy. I'd much rather watch this than watch what we've got in like modern pop at the minute, where everybody says the N word 20 times, and I have like some woman gyrating her fish flaps at the camera for 3 minutes. It's just
Holy
like
shit.
this
That's a
is so much better.
What?
that's a good correct. I thought I was doing the dirty jokes earlier, and then
I'm
um,
glad I'm not into that kind of.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That just makes you want to fucking switch the
yeah,
TV
no,
now. So like, yeah,
I,
Japanese
I mean,
pop is where it's at.
not to get into a diatribe about Western pop, but yeah, I really like pop music as well as rock music because pop music, effectively, it's just anything that is trying to achieve some kind of mass appeal, but really that could be any sound. And that's why we had pop punk in like the late 90s, early 2000s, because at that era, punk could be pop because that was just what people were getting into. So as a result, I think pop is something I like because it can be anything you want, so long as you're kind of going for a sound that is accessible. And yeah, when you talk about the Western pop, a lot of the time there's this kind of like nasty, cynical, swaggery, aren't we so cool kind of image that a lot of the time you think, oh no, I would actually be, if you just did good songs and you had like a really sort of strong personality, I would actually think you were cool for that. You don't have to show off with all this crap. And then you look at Japanese pop and it's like you have the softer, more cute artists who can do that and it's charming. You have the artists like Atarashi Gakko where they can have a little bit more attitude. It's charming as well in its own different way. And then you can have the groups who've got a little bit of a kick-ass kind of attitude. And again, it works because it's just actually feels earned.
I think
Um,
I think the main word I would describe it is arrogance. It's like
yeah.
I don't feel like that with Japanese music. Like I don't, it never comes
Most of
across
it.
like that.
There
Most
is some arrogant
Yeah, I mean,
bands
not
in.
everything.
the band that shall not be named.
Well, actually, I was thinking of another group who I don't talk about because everyone knows it's like the Japanese pop group that I really can't listen to because they just don't. But I'm not going to get into that. We won't talk about that. No, honestly, I think yeah, you're totally right. Like, there's a sense of arrogance. Like, look how cool I am. That every single pop artist, well, a lot of pop artists seem to be coming up with in the West, which is why I avoid most of the Western pop music. But you listen to like pop artists in Japan, it's a whole range of things, but it always feels like, well, look, I did my music and this is the image I'm putting alongside it rather than look at me. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think
No, but I
although
also
this
feel like that's what makes a lot of Western music sound like samey because they all try to be like the cool dudes. And in Japan, they try to be themselves, like Arno, and then you get something like super unique.
Mm.
well, I think it goes down to this niche culture thing again that like in Japan, like everyone has their niche thing they're into. It's like there isn't so much just like one thing is cool. You obviously you'll have stuff that goes to the top and is the most popular, your Mrs. Green Apples and stuff. But you will have everyone kind of has their own niche that they're into. And you find this when you go to karaoke with people,
Yeah.
and like you'll sit down with just someone, just maybe someone from your office or something, you do karaoke, and it's like, oh, she's about to sing a heavy metal song. So I didn't know you were into heavy metal. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I really like
I,
heavy
I
metal. It's like
mean,
it's like people just
you
have their
could
own
just say
niches.
like from the off, you could like rattle off people like Lisa, Utaha, Aina the End, Anno, Sen, just off the top of my head, and all those girls have distinctly different personalities, all trying to just be themselves and all offer something different to the industry. I wouldn't be able to do that in a Western with any Western artists. I would struggle to name five off the top of my head that are all sort of different.
I
With
mean,
the only exception of probably being off the top of my head, probably Pink. I probably still think is a
I
credible
mean,
artist in the West. But apart from that, I can't think of many.
you could do it at a stretch. Like, I mean, you could sort
Mm.
of do like, oh, here's your Ed Sheerans and Taylor Swifts, and then on the other side is your kind of Beyonce's and like the people who do like the kind of that kind of music. But I think the difference is that although you could do that in the West, in Japan, it's just like, well, look, every artist is just almost inherently different. Yeah, you do have idol groups, but that's kind of its own industry almost. But as a general, most pop artists, I mean, look at the rise of alt idol. Look how different all of those groups are, from Bish to Passcode to Lady Baby, Broken by the
Yeah.
Scream, and that's just kind of in the rock idol group, and they're all wildly different. Sorry, what rock idol scene. So I just think that there is natural. Do you know what the funny thing is? Okay, I'll describe it this way, and you could, like, guys, let me know if you think this is true or not. In
False.
well, there you go.
So,
How do I disconnect him? So in like the Western scene, I think everyone is aspiring to be a version of cool. They're trying to be cool. Cool is a thing. They're trying to be it. They'll add their own style, but basically they're aiming to what cool is. Whereas in Japan, the one thing I've noticed with every artist is that they want to be unique. So every artist will see what they're doing, and if it gets too close to another artist, they'll actually steer away from it. It's like so maybe they see like Bandmate and think, oh, costumes are a good idea, but we can't look like that. All right, let's try and find a really different look. And they'll maybe benchmark certain successful things, but they really want to steer away from being too much like another band, because cool is not one thing. Cool is actually being unique. So I think the difference is in Japan, it's cool to be unique and have your own individual identity, whereas in the West, it seems cool is already predetermined and you aim towards it.
well, I think it's also partly due to the industry supporting that coolness factor because, like, if you're unique, yeah, okay, maybe some people think it's cool, but it won't sell big numbers, so we'd rather go with just the cool guys.
I
Well,
think
yeah.
typecasting's a bit of a thing as well. It's like in the industry, everyone's trying to be, every white guy that wants to rap is compared to being the next Eminem. If you're a young black woman coming up, you're going to be the next Beyonce. It's, they throw you into these brackets a little bit, and then you kind of typecast into those specific like genres of the industry.
I think that is true. I think it's a vicious circle though, isn't it? Because you've got a certain degree of like a certain degree is the fact that the industry is going to do that because obviously they're going to try and repeat success with success. I think there's also the aspect that the public isn't as much, people aren't as much looking for music as they are in Japan, where people look and find interesting new artists. That is less common unless you're already a music fan. It's less common in the West. And that itself is fed by the fact that music is not as much part of the culture. The live houses are less prevalent in other countries, which is fed by the governments not as much wanting to fund and support that industry, which is again funded by there not being enough money going to those venues, which is funded by the public, which is caused by the public disinterest. And you just kind of have this like circular thing where there's a million and one reasons, but ultimately Japan's system is just, yeah, it just feeds
Can
talent
I
up
ask
and
like
people are there
a
to give
weird
money to it.
question? Like I'm not
Yes.
sure how it is now, but how is radio still a thing in Japan? And if so, or in the past, like what kind of stuff gets played in the radio? Is it like in the West where it's just the same songs over and over from like the super popular artists, or is it like actually interesting things?
That is actually a fantastically weird question.
And like,
I
could you
love that
hear like
question.
some cool artists that we like listen to in a supermarket if you walk into, or is that not a thing?
Okay, there's a lot of layers to that. I'm going to try and
For
answer
example,
them as
could you
best as I
hear
can.
this? Let's say
Okay,
this
so
one
many questions,
to
Benedict.
get back to
So
the
many
topic. To
questions.
get back to the
Okay,
topic, like the one five song we talked about.
I think
Could
we
I
kind of
hear
moved from
this
that. So,
song on like the supermarket radio if I
okay,
go
okay.
shopping in Japan?
You give me about 20 things to deal with there.
Just
So I'm going to
answer the
try and
last one.
well, I'm going to try and work because they're causal. One causes
Yeah,
the other.
yeah.
So I'll try and work through the points as concisely as I can. First things first, radio and TV and all those things still kind of are very prevalent in Japan, but you do get a lot of people hold on to old style media. You know, you kind of notice, like, for example, businesses still have fax numbers in
Yeah,
Japan.
yeah.
That's becoming less common, but there are a lot of people who hold on to that. However, as a general, those things exist as a legacy. They don't really inform the ongoing culture. Like most young people, they do not listen to the radio actively. They don't choose to listen to the radio. However, and this is the interesting thing, there's actually probably more radio stations now than ever before because there's loads of tiny micro digital stations. And these do usually inform small niche groups. So again, the radio stations are now quite niche. You'll have like them serving like local areas. A lot of people driving, truck drivers, and people they'll listen to this a lot. So it exists, but it's not the powerful force in the industry. However, it's cheap to run, and so there's just a lot of them because even if they don't get the viewership or the listenership, they might as well exist. People go to
Yeah.
them, they're interesting, they can have events. Right. Now, in terms of like, do you hear the music when you're out and about? 100%. When you're walking around, when you're in supermarkets, I'm like, I've walked through a supermarket and I've heard like Trident and I've been like,
Oh,
yes. I've heard Necky multiple times. Even
mm.
before they were signed, I was hearing Necky in the supermarket. Stuff like
I work in the
Onefive, you
wrong
will
country, man.
absolutely hear. Oh, this is one of the biggest problems though, right? When I'm walking around the supermarket, I've actually said this. Like, if someone wants me to react to a song and it's super popular, I have to react quickly, not because of the fact that I want to get the reaction out as soon as possible, but because if I don't, I might walk into a supermarket and just hear the song anyway
Oh,
without knowing. Then I put on the reaction. I'm like, oh shit, I heard this already yesterday. Goddamn. It's really hard to do
just have
reactions
to
to.
get out the camera in the supermarket. Hey guys.
I
Well,
mean,
like the Mrs. Green Apple ones are always funny because I'm following their new stuff and I've been thinking, well, I won't react to the new stuff because I wait for the album to come out. However, like there was a problem like in December. I was walking around and I was like, look, I have to react to new songs because I can hear Amori's voice.
I
It's like
could
they are
see
playing new
them
songs.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's like I'm like walking into my local supermarket. I'm hearing Amori and I'm like, walk quicker. Oh God, walk
Yeah.
quicker. So does he really
It's
hate
funny you
Mrs.
should
Green
say
Apple? It's
that.
like, no, I got to do a reaction.
Because I remember there was when I went there last year when I was hanging out with Howard, there was a little comfy little restaurant that me and him went to where we were eating some meat and stuff like that. And I shit you not, we were just sat there and I think Howard's head just like bowed in shame because every song that came on, I was like, I fucking know this one. And he's like,
No, I was enjoying
please
it
don't
with you.
say it. Please don't
I
say
was
it.
I was enjoying it because for me it was really fun because like I
Mm.
say I was actually
Yeah.
enjoying you
Man, you
kind of
don't
getting into
realize
that
what
because it
we have to listen to like all day here.
don't worry, I spent my time. I did my time. I got out of prison.
I did my time.
Oh
So,
man, but yeah, I do think there's a lot to be said for that difference between I mean again this is the thing, it's like you can hear Western music in Japan as well, don't get me wrong, you'll be going some place and you'll hear it, sometimes you'll hear K-pop, but as a general most of what you hear on the radio out and about and what's being fed through places is Japanese music. And yeah, it's a self-sustaining like ecosystem. I've talked about this so many times, I won't bore you by going into the details, but as I say, the music on the radio is Japanese music. People enjoy Japanese music. They sing it in karaoke. They're willing to go to gigs because they get a little bit of good, you tend to get more employment. So as a result, even if you don't make a huge amount of money, you say, what do I want to spend my money on? I want to go to gigs. People go to gigs. There's live houses to go to. There's bands playing it because the bands are coming up through a school system that actually encourages it. Parents encourage their kids to, if you want to do music,
Yeah.
don't do it casually, get good at it. And just all of this is a system that just allows Japan to produce music. And that's why if AI takes over music in the West, I don't think anyone notices. But if AI takes over music here, then we will kill you all.
an
Just
Protect
needs
the
artist
to
that's
be
live houses.
banned in
definitely
Japan.
an
Yes.
artist that's
Just
definitely
banned.
not using AI is also from another group that's released a single this week was Fami. What did you guys think of that one with the new release?
that was not the segue I was going to go for, and yet your segue actually felt much more like bam. I like that as a segue. I was just like, where's he going with his family? Anyway, all right, guys, tell me what you think.
Well, I actually want to know from you guys, what did you expect before going into this? Because I
No one
did
wants to answer.
not expect this at all, to be
Can
honest.
we all agree on that point, first of all? Not one of us expected what we got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say I really enjoyed this song, no question about it. It's just not at all what I expected from seeing a Fami solo project type song. Because I have to say, it wasn't really, it has had great bass throughout, also no question about it, but it wasn't really like a bass virtuoso show off song, which is kind of what I would have expected. And there wasn't even like
Ah,
a bass solo in it. It was a really good song, but it wasn't bass focused, in my opinion. You know what
absolutely.
I
I
mean?
mean, so
Okay, I'm gonna
uh
let Howard take this one. I'm interested to see what
And
he's
I
gonna
mean, the
say.
second thing
okay.
is her doing vocals, but we can talk about that
Okay, so
later.
I was actually going to ask, is like, did you expect it to be a vocal song, or were you
No,
expecting it just to literally be a musician doing a solo piece, kind of like Miyako doing her piano piece? Okay.
I kind of
Um,
did, yes.
So from my perspective, I I was expecting it to be very different from Love Bites, and I was kind of thinking she was probably going to do the vocals. I hadn't heard her previous solo stuff she'd done pre-Love Bites, but I had seen like her YouTube clips, and I'm aware that she is into much more music than what Love Bites do. And so for me, it was
Like
always
she
interesting when
did
she
release because I checked her channel afterwards, and there wasn't like a real release video like this one on her channel before.
No, but I know she had solo songs before. Like I say, I
Okay.
wasn't aware of those, but I'd heard her like her covers. Well, I wasn't aware of what the content of those were, but I'd heard her cover stuff and things. Um, the thing is that when she joined Love Bites, I remember feeling like she was a good addition to Love Bites because she was bubbly, different, and she was into a wide range of music, which I thought would help Love Bites expand. And based on Outstanding Power, I think it has. However, I got to be honest, my only concern about her joining Love Bites is that Love Bites have a specific genre, and Fami's this person who loves playing every single genre. So my biggest concern was like, what if you join Love Bites? Is it going to limit the amount of wild things Fami can do? Because she's clearly into so much more than just heavy metal. And
That's the
the
pessimistic way to look about it, and the optimistic
no,
way is she will bring a lot of stuff
well,
into Love
that's
Bites.
why I said that first. That's why I
Okay.
said that first. You see how I said both sides of that before you maybe sound like an arsehole.
Sorry that I
Um,
talk as well.
well, I'm just repeating what I'm saying, but making it sound negative, which is what's the point. So, what I was gonna say there, no, is that like the whole point of doing a solo project is that it's supposed to be you doing whatever it is you can't do in your main project. So for me, I was like, I was just hoping that we would see a little bit of the side of Fami that maybe she hasn't always been able to fully embody in Love Bites. And so from that front, I absolutely was just so happy. Was it the genre I expected? No. Was the bass much more straightforward than I expected? Yes, actually. I mean, like it was mostly just octave bass. There was a couple of bass runs, but it was clearly focused more on being an entire song, and the bass was just part of that song. So
Yeah.
there was a lot about this I didn't expect, but yeah, I will agree. I absolutely adored this song. Super catchy, maybe even too catchy to the point of being an earworm that it might get a little bit annoying after 20 listens, and I'm on about
I don't think
19.
so.
But yeah, I absolutely adored this. I just thought it was a ton of fun. All of those
Kind of
crazy
reminded
accordion sounds and
me.
everything,
Yeah,
fucking brilliant.
I agree. I also expected it kind of reminded me of like Hoshimashi Suisei and a bit of that VTuber music style, if you know my drift, because that's actually really
Yeah.
good music. Don't get me wrong here.
No, 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 we agree. But yeah, actually, that's a surprising reference. But I was also really intrigued, a lot like the VTuber stuff, and this might be the connection in another way, is that she did a lot of those rapid fire vocals in this. I was like, oh
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah.
a lot of rapid fire vocals, which is a very VTubery thing
And
to
also
do.
like that cool high note, which isn't done in a head voice, but it kind of sounded cool. It had a unique sound to it. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoyed her vocals, and
I
I
think there was like
totally
a
didn't expect it.
a lot of just like punch in that. It just really felt to me like a song that was like full of just little moments. You know, her vocal went through so much different range and she achieved so many different things in this song that for me it was great to hear her sounding like she was having so much fun. But as you say, most of the fun she was having was in the vocals. There's a little bit of auto tune, but you know, that's fine. It was like she was still getting to do a lot of expressing the bizarre sounds, the high speed tempo, all of it was just wild. And the bass was good, but it was part of just a whole song that was great.
Yeah.
And now, Neon.
Just let me say before that
Yeah,
I
okay.
really expected like a bass solo part in some capacity, but I actually only noticed that after listening to the full song. Actually, while listening to the song, I didn't think it was missing, but like afterwards thinking about it, where was the bass solo?
Um, yeah, you're never left thinking that the song is lacking. I think that's kind of an
Yeah.
important thing.
It's just because we know Fami just as this crazy bassist that we have these expectations and therefore think, where is that? But it's, yeah, I also totally love the song. But Neon, go ahead.
Uh, yeah, I mean, me like you two. I think in terms of surprise, it's definitely for me more vocal element from her. It's so nice to see her like on vocals for the entirety of the song. Her voice as well. I didn't realize how great she sounded vocally. In terms of am I surprised about the genre or the type of song? Absolutely not. I've been a big Fami fan for many years now, but had the pleasure of talking to her a couple of times, and
So she did stuff like this beforehand.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
it depends how far down the rabbit hole you go. If you know the songs that she kind of like orientates towards at the beginning of her YouTube channel,
Yeah.
it's very much this is what family likes to play
Okay.
Yeah.
kind of situation. So I was following Fami before I was following Low Bites
Oh,
incredibly.
okay.
Um,
I didn't know about her before she
yeah, yeah.
joined.
And so I've had the pleasure of kind of like going and seeing like some of the songs that she plays and stuff like that. So the genre of song and the way that she tackles this doesn't surprise me in the least. What does surprise me is the vocal elements of it, and the fact that this is pretty much not, I wouldn't say structured as a song.
So her doing vocals is a first.
She's done like a few vocals in the past, but not to this extent.
Okay.
Not like a full-on fledged song. And as you said, you're surprised about the not being a bass solo in there, and I kind of am as
It's just
well.
because of my expectations and
But I
what I
feel like that's
know
done
her from.
intentionally. I feel like the bass solo is taken out of there to help this song be a song. Is to help this song sort of flow and to be taken a little bit more seriously. And I think she's built up the confidence now where she doesn't need to rely on the stick of having a bass solo in all her songs.
True.
This is a song. This release for me screams. This is me, Fami, the artist, not me, Fami, the bass
Yeah.
soloist.
Yeah.
Um,
I just let me know what you think about this. I would say that it's not so much the bass solos being taken out as so much that she just wrote a song because she wrote the entire thing.
mm,
She wrote a song, and in writing the song, at no point did she think, "Oh, this needs a bass solo," so she didn't arbitrarily add one.
yeah. So, and the song I feel like is much better for it. But it's going to be one of those. Would you like a bass solo? Of course
And
I
I
would.
mean, also this, we have to say
Yeah.
this is one song of the upcoming release, uh,
Um, but
which will
Yes,
have, I think, 5 or 6 songs. So I would assume there is some bass
there probably,
solo
yeah, there will be.
somewhere on there.
One of the songs is actually
I
called
will
like
get my bass
bass
solo.
something, isn't it? There's like one of the songs has actually got a name which is like bass something. Let me
Like
find the track list.
it's gonna be a
Sorry, carry
song
on.
without
Like I
any
said,
bass.
there's gonna be plenty of freaking bass stuff, but this just feels like a really good kind of like song. I know. We were talking about before about we were talking about do you hear this type of music when you're out and about in Japan? This feels like the type of song that would just pop up on
Yeah.
like
Oh, totally.
when you're in a 7-Eleven or something like that.
Yeah.
It would just be playing. Um, it definitely has that sort of mainstream sort of appeal that I think it's less about playing into her bass roots, less about like her being a YouTuber, and more
Uh,
about her being an artist and probably reaching out to people that wouldn't typically know who she is or like
I,
things like that. I think.
can I can I just say you'll love this. I'm reading through the track list names. There's 6 tracks on it. The first there's no indication in the last four that they are necessarily bass focused, but the first two tracks, you're going to love these. Track one is called Bass of Doom, and then track number two is literally called Slap Alien.
Okay,
So
Hey.
I think she's going to find some time to show off a little bit of
maybe.
bass on this. I think she just chose her single well. She's like, the single is going to be a song for
I
everyone.
wonder if that's
Wait,
going to
what
be
is
like
this one called?
This one
Sandbox
was called
Affordance.
Hagane Affordance, which
so
basically
one
means
of
it's the
her most
title
popular
track.
videos is
Damn
Alien
it.
Alien. So I wonder if that's just a bit of a callback to that.
Yeah,
Maybe she's just trying to tell us something about where she
but
came
that
from.
was really bass intensive as well.
I am. There's a lot of mosquitoes in here. I'm just killing them one at a time. And that one I missed. That one got away from me. I'm very
Every
upset
time
about that.
I've seen you kill so many mosquitoes now. I'm just waiting for the day that you pop up on camera and that wall is just black.
Do you know what? There was, I think I told you about that place I stayed in Korea before, that apartment where there was actually a mosquito. It must have been like a mosquito nest outside, because I opened the window for it literally must have been no more than 5 minutes, closed it, and then the entire ceiling. I have never seen that many mosquitoes. There was like at least about 30 or 40 of them. And I just spent the rest of the day just like running around, smacking them against the wall. And at the end, there was just blood stains all over the wall. It was freaking amazing. I was just like, and if the owner complains, I'll tell him to stick his head out the window. They all dead now. So you better make the air conditioning working in here, because I ain't opening that again. Um,
There's
but yeah,
a
that one
little
got away
invention
from me and I'm
called
upset.
net.
Sorry?
There's a little invention called a net.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Unfortunately, this guy had not invented the idea of installing it. So
Whether I feel this pain
uh,
when I was staying in Howard's apartment. Oh my god, I got bits of fucking shit by those moths.
don't worry, they all died. That's the important thing. They were suffering as a result. But in terms of not suffering, Fami really enjoyed that. I thought it was great. I'm actually, I'll be honest with you, I you guys know Fami is one of my favorite things about Love Bites. I'd already liked Love Bites before, but it was a group where I liked them, but they mostly were doing something which to me was fairly, it kind of hit a bit of a railroad. And then for me, Fami added that extra spark. Outstanding Power is easily my favorite album from them. Haroon has been getting better and better. The rest of the band were already really talented, but the rhythm section is so much more interesting. Fami, although I
That
found her later
Miho
than
hate.
Neon. Yeah, no disrespect, but to be honest, yeah, the bass lines in their earlier songs were functional. That's why they were functional. They didn't, it was always
I
like,
feel like the
well,
songwriting has improved overall.
yeah, but for me, it's like the bass suddenly took a massive step up on this album. I was like, and I was actually, there was a part of me which was worried, is like, okay, is Fami's, if she gets too experimental, is it actually going to not work? Because it is a genre that doesn't require super complicated bass. But no, she really has made it interesting without doing anything that to me has derailed the Love Bites train. It's just kind of improved it. So yeah, I was really excited to hear what she would deliver in terms of a solo song. But now I'm like really excited to hear like her solo EP. It just, yeah, fucking sign me up.
Can you tell me, do you know who wrote the song? Was it Fami as well? Because
Entirely
couldn't
her
really
arrangement and
tell.
everything, apparently. Apparently,
Okay,
she did the song arrangement, the whole thing, based on what I've got here.
that is
If
impressive.
anyone's got more information, please do let us know. I'm basing this off of something I'm reading off of a website, which doesn't
Yeah, I
always
mean, if
tell
you
you the
open the
truth.
Doesn't
details,
always tell the correct information.
if you open the
I am just
details,
trying
it
to proof
just
it at the
says
moment.
artist Fami. It doesn't really say
Well, that
anything
was my
more.
gotcha, you little bastard. Sorry, not you, Benedict. And that's why like initially, it's on my hand. That's why, initially, like when it said artist Fami, I was like, well, either that's them not giving all the information, or they're literally saying she did everything. But then reading through, there's a couple of websites here which seem to say the same thing. Actually, let me just have a little look on Victor's website. You keep talking while I check.
So I wonder how much of an influence she's had from Miyako and stuff like that, and being in the Love Bites kind of like system and stuff like that. Because Midori, Miyako as well, like Asami, even going back to her roots as well, they all write
You mean
songs.
influencing her own solo stuff?
I don't know if it will be influence what she does, but I definitely think being around them and being around the studio with them and stuff probably really helped. Probably gave her the experience she probably not lacked, but doing YouTuber stuff is vastly different than sitting behind a
I mean,
studio.
you said you know her for a while. Like, has she been in any big named groups that we know of before Love Bites?
No, she was purely a YouTube sensation. Purely, she went massive just for her bass videos and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the Miho left Love Bites, and they
Damn.
had the audition
Imagine like
thing.
Love Bites being your first band.
Um,
Like starting at the very top.
I'm going to give a little bit of information. I'm just reading through the Victor webpage right now, Victor being the company who are putting this out. And basically, a couple of bit of information I got here. Apparently, this is her first self-produced, well, this is her first release as a soloist since her self-produced graduation album, which was done through crowdfunding in 2021. Okay. And then she joined Love Bites in 2022. I vaguely remember her having an EP actually just before she joined. So, okay, that's actually something that's ringing some bells in my memory. She's also apparently written, I think, it's by the look of it, three of the songs are instrumental, three of the songs are not. Three of the songs are like Hagane affordance with like full vocals. She seems to have written pretty much absolutely everything as we suspected. And yeah, she's talking a little bit here about influences and various things. And, she's also, incidentally, she's mentioned some of her influences, which are really cool because she's mentioning very unloved bitesy things. Obviously, she's talking about some metal, but she's also talking about
Mm.
things like her Vocaloid, how much she loves Vocaloid writing. And I think actually we mentioned about here's another one. Gotcha. We mentioned about the VTuber thing, but I think there's also an aspect of this song actually really sounds like something that would be written by a Vocaloid writer. So I think a Vocaloid
Mm.
inspiration is coming through a lot as well.
I like the fact as well that you can be in a band, or you could be in a band like Love Bites and also do your own personal thing. It kind of reminds me of what Miku does in Band Made a little bit, where she gets her clipo stuff that she's able just to go up and do by her side. Because it definitely feels like the artists, although they're in a band, although that's their career or their main project, it's really cool that that they're able to go off and scratch their itch for like some of the stuff that they like personally a little bit more.
I
I
think
think
it's
that's the difference
wise.
between, yeah, I think that's the difference as well, again, between Western metal and Japanese metal, where like Japanese metal, girls and all that can come together, but metal might not be their first preference. West, I feel like if you're in a metal band in the West, you're in the metal band because you're into metal. Um, there is a slight little bit difference, but I also think that actually works in Japan's favor a little bit because again we get people like Miyako, like Fami, that come from different backgrounds and offer the
Yeah.
genre of metal something
Just
completely
wanted to
different.
mention like Miyako also has her solo project, which is just like piano.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Asami, I believe Asami's got a few solo tracks and stuff coming out as well that she's singing like a few real jazzy numbers. So it's really cool to
Don't
see
get me
actually.
started on Fuki. She has several.
Well, I mean, Fuki's solo projects are like so much that she has to actually pause her main project. Like, Unlucky
Yeah.
Morpheus, yeah, that thing I do that every 10 years.
Yeah.
But the the thing is, I think actually you look at a lot of long running bands, and it's wise to do that. I mean, Scandal have had so many, and Scandal obviously being the longest running female band with the same lineup, hitting their 20th year and everything. They've had so many of these side projects where the members have gone off and done individual things. There's even been members of the group who've done multiple side projects. You look at Bandmade, like you say, they've had things like Clupo, you've had Psyche doing her stuff, you have Mochi Todd Cheese, and of course, this year off they're having, I think, will be a chance for them to experiment with stuff as well. I think bands last longer if people don't feel confined by the band. And in the case of Love Bites, I think it's great. You mentioned about Miyako, that just seems like she's just chilling. It's like, well, I can play awesome piano. I want to do some covers. I'm going to record it, all right? Get a
Yeah.
camera. It's
Yeah.
This
Miyako time.
See, the thing with Japanese music that I really love, it can be a detriment, but also really positive, is that these girls like just love each other so much that they're able to go and do these solo projects a lot, and it just feels like everything is loved and appreciated and accepted that you can go and do all this. But again, if you went to the West and you were in a band and you went off to do some solo stuff, I feel like there would be like a lot of resentment there. Like, if you solo stuff did successful, we've seen so many times in the past where a person will split from a band to go and to pursue a solo career. It's such a different atmosphere within the bands from like the West and Japan. It's kind of crazy. It's like it's two different, completely different worlds, you
I
know?
have another really weird question in my mind.
I love the way that your face just slowly changes. Like Neon's like talking about this really interesting
Uh,
point in Benedict's face, and you can just see the question arrive in his brain. Like,
God,
all right,
shoot.
so go on,
Tell
go
me,
on.
it
tell
was
me
just
your
like,
very weird,
do you
wonderful
think
question.
there is kind of a line where someone of a group doing a solo project could actually hurt the main group, like their image in some way? I'm just thinking like, I don't know, someone from Bandmate is joining like a super deathcore group or something, and it's kind of scaring away fans. Or
I
do you
I
think
don't
there
think
is a
that
way it could happen?
I don't think that's a problem in Japan, and actually that happens quite a bit. I don't think that's a problem in Japan, mostly because, as I say, in Japan, people are very aware of other niches and usually accepting of other niches. People tend to like if you're like into idol pop, and then your friend is into like deathcore growls, you're not going to be like,
I mean, there
you're
is
more going to be
overlap
like,
in certain groups.
well, yeah, but I mean, for example, even in the Chica scene, you see people go from like a cute idol group. It's like, oh yeah, I'm also in a metal band. I mean, think about stuff like Lady Baby, where there was one of the members, oh, God, I always forget whether it was Ray or Rie,
Yeah,
who was in
yeah.
Bratz at the same time. Admittedly, that was kind of different, but you have a lot of these crossover, and I actually think a lot of the time the audiences are actually quite supportive of it. They actually kind of like to see that because they feel like, oh, that's you, that's cool. There's another layer to you. And I think in Japan, people like seeing their favorite artists get this other weird layer out of them. I mean, Emma from Eminem is in that jazz duet where she's up there singing her beautiful song with the piano. So I'm going to go back and do some like rap metal now.
Okay,
you
didn't
know,
know about it. Yeah,
yeah,
okay, that's
but
cool.
people, I think in Japan actually like that, but I do agree with your point, and Neon kind of touched on this point a lot as well, which is that in other cultures, it
I
would be
didn't
like,
want to
"Why are
go
you over
back to
doing
the
that crappy
Western
music?"
stuff.
Yeah, sorry. But you get my point. You get my point.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm. So
yeah.
I like the fact that artists are able to do this and it's a widely accepted thing. And I feel like that's one of the special things, particularly about Japan, which I don't think again I don't think you can get anywhere else in the world. That's how we just touched on. Fans are more accommodating, artists are more accommodating. It's more shared. The lines of genres are blurred a little bit more. It's nice. It's a nice feeling. I think everybody's just more wholly accepting of different musics. People know what they like, what they don't like, but it's nice to see artists be a bit wacky. It's nice to see your Utahas doing something really emotional, and then the next video is fucking bonkers. It's nice. It's nice to see that.
Well, that's an interesting point because I think like groups within their own discography feel more free to do more different things because of that as well. Like, I mean, you mentioned about that, and there's groups who'll do like, here's a ballad, here's a metal song, and people won't go, oh, well, you're a metal band. That song's not metal. Don't do that. It's like, oh, we're going to do a song with a little bit of an EDM beat. And I think as a general, people are not so trapped in that impression of, oh, well, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Can't do that. So,
Yeah,
Fami.
one of the reasons why I like Lisa so much as well, because you've got those, typical like sort of on the nose anime songs that she does, but then she does some really emotional slow beats and stuff. And then she could be like a rock star as well, weirdly, all in the space of an hour's show.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
I feel like people they can still appreciate it even though if they don't love it.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I do think again they feel happy because when the artist does that, they go, oh, well, that's a different side of the artist. I'm glad they're
Yeah.
getting that out their system as well.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Anno for instance, right now, I mean, she's going through a little bit of a little bit of a phase, and it's cool to see. So, and then eventually, in a year or so, she could be back to the more fruity numbers.
No, I don't think she's going through a phase. I think she's just Anno. It's just
She's
this is
just
the
Anno. She's just
it's
nut.
like but please, Bowl, remind me of the phase when Anno was a predictable and consistent presence. It's like Anno is like, I have a new song. It's like, what type of song is it? Anno. Ah, I see. Yes, Miss Anno. So, no question. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to enter a very interesting phase that has now become a regular part of Ears to These, which is the phase where I'm going to go get that coffee and have a pee, and then you guys talk behind my back, and I'll see what you say when I get back. All right, yeah.
All right, no worries.
He always does
Finally,
this when we are done with the topic. Like,
fucking
what
hell.
else can we say
Thank God
about
he's
this song
gone.
now?
We can actually talk, Benedict. We can talk. So
No, I mean, I actually really like this song, even though it was totally unexpected. But I think the only time I've heard her do vocals before was like doing some group shouts with the other girls in Love
So
Bites.
here's
So
a question for you.
yeah.
If obviously if you didn't know who Fami was, like completely went to this like no nostalgia, no like pre-love or whatever, and you heard this song just randomly or whatever, what would your thoughts about it be? Would it be something you'd be like, oh, this is amazing? Or is there a part of you in the back of your head that's like, oh, this is amazing, but because it's Fami?
Mm, I mean, I think I would still have like the same type of surprise element that I would still know it's a bassist solo project because you can just see she's a bassist.
The bass kind of gives it away.
Yeah, the bass kind of gives it away. um, I think probably I might just not have listened to it because,
Really?
yeah, if I knew like what type of genre it was, I think it might just have gone over my head
Yeah.
because
Does that make
to be
you?
fair, there is a lot of music like this out there.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's necessarily super standout, but I
Mm.
definitely feel the Love Bites connection
Yeah. So
brought
okay,
me there.
so here's a different angle at it. Like, do you feel like apprehensive, or do you feel like you're missing out then? Because there's like plenty of stuff out there that you may love like this that you don't listen to because you don't have that connection with them.
I mean,
Do you feel
sure.
like you're missing out on anything, or
I feel like yeah, sure, there surely is a lot that they're missing out on. But I mean, there's so much music in the world that you cannot all listen to in your life.
and my last question, and then we'll move on back onto the subject. So, do you feel like you give those genres like a proper chance? Are you open-minded to be like, oh, I'm going to listen to this, or is there a little bit that writes them off because they're not connected to like metal bands or artists that you know?
No, I feel like I did actually really give them a chance, and I kind of partly also got into it because I've checked out a lot of like Hoshimashi Suisei and also like Ado, different VTuber music, um, which I think this kind of is comparable to, and I quite like some of that stuff right now. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
maybe not every
that's a good
song
answer.
is like super exciting for me, but I listen to it from time to time.
Cool,
Sure,
cool,
yeah.
cool. I think we threw him off a scent. I think he doesn't realize we were talking shit about him. Okay, let's continue.
What?
I assumed you were talking shit about me. I'll be disappointed when I edit this. I'll be disappointed if I go back through it and there's absolutely no shit talk. I'll be like, well, what do I even bring them here for?
Oh, you mean about, oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
um, Cool. Right. So, next topic that I want to move us on to, talking of artists doing their own thing, which is what we're talking about, at least when I was here a moment ago, is Assun. Okay, friend of mine, but also an artist who I think is really worth talking about because she, in my opinion, is well, one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. I mean, just to quickly cover in case anyone doesn't know, not only is she somebody who's well, she's been through quite a lot in her life, but she's a incredible lyricist, very poetic. She is someone who, for me, as someone who loves rap music, but accepts that it is a genre with a lot of terrible people representing it. She is a real sign of what can really be done with rap music, the positive future and the really positive voices there are. Obviously, she's a female rapper, which is always great as well. She's a professional dancer who does mocap for a lot of very famous projects you might be familiar with if you're into like Japanese anime culture.
Hmm.
She is celebrated as a dancer as well, rather than
Yeah, I
just
was
the mocap
surprised when
side.
I suddenly she's standing like in front of the window in the video and totally going off. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, she is like one of the most all-round talented people I've had the pleasure of meeting, and she's even getting into production these days, from what I've heard. But ultimately, she's very grounded, and her latest single, which I just think I think it really does take us into that grounded space. I had a lot to say about this one, but I really want to know what you guys have to
Yeah,
say
but
about
first
it.
off, you said talking about artists who do their solo project. So what other thing is she in?
She's in a
Well,
band
she's
called Castella
oh,
Park,
to clarify, she's in a rap group called
a
Castella
rap
Park.
group,
So it's
Castella Park.
just be clear. I mean, it's a band of people, but just in case people
Yeah.
start thinking,
Okay.
uh, um, no, she's in a rap group. But it's also just all these other things I mentioned that she does. She has been in idol groups before and stuff like that. But that's a whole different thing. This is really, it's not really an idol group. She's in like a pop group. Anyway, this is kind of like just something that she's really put a lot of herself into, but it's one of many things that she's up to every day.
Do you want to
So
take this one, or do you want me to go
Opinions,
first?
I mean,
opinions, people.
this is the first time I've heard any of her music. I didn't even know what
Keep
genre to expect.
going,
My
keep
mind,
going. You
my
heard that?
mind, I'm not sure.
Ah, shit, I'm out. Fuck that. I'm
Um,
out. He didn't listen to my song. I'm gonna cry.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
But, well, Benedict erased that from his memory.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he did a reaction to that when we released it, but okay.
Maybe I was talking over it. I actually didn't really hear it. Anyway, uh, my mind went immediately to like this is Japanese female Snoop Dogg.
Okay, that's intriguing.
That
This is
totally
like the
gave
chilled
me
vibe,
Snoop
or
Dogg vibes. Yeah, totally chill. That chill rap vibe, also chill kind of the timbre of her vocal delivery, but at the same time kind of quick or like fast still. And that's
little bursts of
also, yeah,
tempo.
yeah. Also that, yeah, it's kind of typical hip hop stuff, but that hook with the female chorus type vocals, I mean, it's still her, but with multiple layers.
Layering, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah,
That's
totally felt
interesting.
like a typical
Oh
Snoop
my
Dogg
God.
song,
You
kind
have
of, to me.
no idea how much I now want an Assun Snoop Dogg collab. And considering that
Yeah,
Snoop
I
Dogg will
could
appear on
totally
any
hear
song if you
Snoop Dogg
pay him
doing like a
enough,
verse on this. No, no problem.
he will appear on any song if you pay him enough. We need to pay Snoop Dogg. Like, Snoop, we got some money. Can you come perform a song with Assun?
I think there were some questionable. Uh, anyway, let's not get into it.
Really? I don't. Oh, God. Well, I just assumed. But anyway,
Like his political affiliations were a bit. Uh,
I
anyway,
don't get into politics on this channel. Da, 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 da,
that's why
da.
we talk about the song now.
Yeah, music, let's go.
No,
um,
actually, really enjoyed it. But I mean, that's kind of the best way I could describe it.
yeah, sort of chilled out vibe. With so I know you've been listening recently. We were talking briefly that you'd listened to a few sort of hip hop and rap connected songs in recent months. And I was just wondering whether, as a result, there was anything about like the actual writing of the song that really kind of stood out for you, or is it generally you still kind of, would you say it's not that you're really picking up any of the details, just the overall vibe is easier for you to get?
I mean, I thought just the beat had a pretty, yeah, I don't know, unique feel to it. It had like these weird kind of eerie samples, eh,
Mm.
like some distorted sounds. But yeah, I don't know. Just wasn't what I expected. In parts, I wasn't actually at the beginning. I wasn't even sure. Is it a rap song or is it just a song that starts with like a more spoken delivery? But then as it went on,
Mm.
I also thought it developed quite nice. I only listened to it once, but I'm not sure if that was in the beginning also. But in the end, there are more and more guitar actually coming in. So cool development there. Yeah, I'm not that big into hip hop. I can't really compare to a lot of other hip hop tracks.
That's fair enough. That's fair
And,
enough.
I think probably the lyrics are pretty important because you also mentioned her to be a lyricist. Uh,
That's quite true. It does play a lot into what the video is doing, which is the idea of someone walking home in the middle of the night, just kind of reflecting and thinking to themselves and kind of running a lot of thoughts through their head. It's that classic situation I'm sure all of us have been in, yeah, walking home late at night where you've just got a lot of time to think, maybe the last train is gone
hmm.
and you're just kind
Now
of
the window
enjoying
dancing
the
scene makes more sense to me.
Well, yeah, especially now knowing what the song's about and the fact she's a dancer, that's gone from utterly nonsense into something that actually has some meaning. All right, let's get Neon in here.
Quite a
Go on.
nice first impression, I have to say. I would listen to more of it.
Second impression, Benedict.
Give me another song, I will listen to it.
It's better and better
Maybe
and
he
better the
doesn't
more I
recognize
speak.
her because she looks really different now. I don't know if
I
that's the
don't
reason.
know. Maybe I just don't remember what you're talking
I'm
about.
I'm just going to
I
put the
don't have
link
anything
in
in my
chat.
head.
I'm going to put the link in chat while we're talking, just so
Yeah,
he
no,
can
Okay.
no,
see
no.
it. And
I'm gonna wait. I want to watch the ball drop. So
Yeah, maybe
I want
not,
to
and
watch. I
that's
want to
even
watch the
worse.
sudden realization appear
well,
on
do you know,
Benedict's
actually,
face.
let's do. But
I don't
before
think
you
there
say,
will anything will drop. So that's even worse.
well, let's put it this way. I'm going to put it in chat right now, and I'm going to let Benedict have a look. So it's going in the ears to these chat now. You tell me if you recognize what this is. All right?
Oh, yeah, I heard it. Okay. Well, she's blonde in that one.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Can't expect me to know any Japanese person that I saw in one collab song.
It was like the song that I made that I spent like
Yeah,
ages
well,
working.
sorry, man.
Sad times. Carry on.
Did you listen to my latest EP? I don't think so.
I gave you one song
Why
in the
didn't
course of
you? That's the
three
song
years.
I
I
made.
I
That's the
gave you
song
one
I
song in three
made.
years. You produce a song every 5 seconds.
Anyway, Neon.
No, I'm enjoying this. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. um. No, again, I'm very much firmly in the Howard camp here. Assun is one of my favorite people. I don't know her particularly too well, but I had a lovely interaction with her when I was in Japan. Here's a fun little fact: of all the artists we listen to, I actually own more physical media from Assun than any other artist.
She
And that
did
was
give you a lot, didn't
that
she?
was because she gave me every single CD she's ever produced. I was like, oh, thank you for that. Um, and I absolutely love her for it. This is for me. This is another brilliant song from her. I always prefer like Assun when she's like flowing a little bit more because I feel like the way that she writes the songs and the way that she articulates, when she goes a little bit quicker, it's like butter a little bit, and it's so pleasant to
That's
listen to.
exactly how I felt about this song. I thought
Yeah,
that floats
this
so
one.
buttery smooth.
Yeah, she's brilliant at that though. This one was like way more slow paced, but she does it beautifully. Like again, from the whispered vocals to the way that she can suddenly go from like 0 to like 50 miles per hour, and then bring it back down to 20. It never feels forced. It flows so beautifully. But it never loses that sort of like emotional edge as well. I mean, we were talking about the music video and like the sort of messaging behind it and stuff like that. And you always get a sense of that. She doesn't feel like she's monologuing you in the way that she acts, in the way that she raps and the lyrics that she does. It always feels like it comes from like a genuine place, like within her. Like
Yeah,
she has a
like an
bit of a
internal monologue,
yeah, like
perhaps.
a bit of a story to tell as well as it kind of going on. It's never it's never, oh, this is how I deal with it kind of thing. It's more of a, well, we can face our fears and stuff this way, and and go from there. And I like that about her. She comes across as like immensely relatable that way. And she again, very, very talented lady, as Howard has already said. She can sing, she can rap, she can dance. We had a lovely time when we were in Japan at the event that we went to, where she took like a bunch of like young kind of like aspiring artists, and she gave them a platform to kind of perform and to boost and stuff, like to give them the confidence and stuff. And I thought that was a really wholesome thing. So she's a wonderful, beautiful person. I love her to death, and I really want to see her be successful. She deserves that, I think. So.
I just an interesting question for both of you because obviously, with myself, primarily residing in Japan, Neon having visited Japan, and Benedict, kind of looking at Japan from the outside mostly. I'm intrigued because this video for me really actually felt like a beautiful addition to the song and that it really captured the atmosphere. And I'm wondering, did the video really sort of evoke any thoughts in either of you, or did it just kind of feel like a very normal video? Because for me, it was simply filmed, but it really did start to build up a beautiful atmosphere that kind of worked so well with that echoey production that Benedict was talking about, and this atmosphere that the lyrics and the delivery were all creating. It just felt like everything came together so well.
It was a really nice video, very eerily empty. I don't know whether or not this is intentional or not, but I found that the music video had like a lot of blue in it. Like it was very gray, bluey grained, which I feel like really kind of like added to that sort of like emotional weight a little bit, which I thought was really, really nicely done actually. Um, and yeah, I think it gets the point in the music video across, to be honest. Again, it's quite empty, it's quite hauntingly beautiful is probably the way I would describe it. Um, and it's nice. It offers a different kind of look at Japan because you associate like Tokyo and Japan and major cities to be these bustling city, utopias a little bit, which are always high in activity. And this was like a very I always she's not the only artist to do it, but I always like these videos where artists go out in the dead of night and it's just quiet. Like it's night, it's quiet. The streets are empty a little bit, and it's a weird side of Japan you don't really particularly see all too much, or kind of like associate. I think it's nice.
Yeah, I feel like it's a nice, very fitting video, but it didn't really stand out to me in any particular way, to be honest.
I think it might be one of those ones where, kind of like we were saying with that One5 song earlier, where if you get the reference, it suddenly makes it just that little bit more
Yeah, like if
heartwarming.
you understand the lyrics, that's probably makes a lot more sense immediately.
Well, I think with this one, the video, if you kind of know the environment and you know those places, it kind of hits you a little bit more because it feels like you're there. Maybe you can relate to that
Okay.
scenery. I'm wondering whether that might be an aspect because, yeah, for me, it was incredibly visceral. It really was like, wow, okay, this is filmed in a way I really feel like I'm there. I really feel like I'm walking along in the nighttime. Whereas you get a lot of those videos where it's just like, oh, here's a handy cam. I'm going to walk around with you. Just something about the way this was filmed. It really captured the atmosphere perfectly, I felt.
Yeah, it was a really well done video. To be honest, would like to see something a bit more bubblier from her next time.
I think that's what Castella Park's for, man. I think that's what
Yeah,
Castella Park's for.
yeah, but we're overdue an upbeat Assun song next.
Man, have you seen the Castella Park song about like was it about Thai food? It was just
Oh, it was
incredibly
beautiful.
bubbly. That
It's
was
so good.
wild. Um, all right. So anyway, I think that was an interesting topic, but I have to ask because we know we've only got like 20 minutes left before Benedict has other things to do, and bless him for actually rushing back and being here for this one today. Um, any other topics that you guys wanted to bring up? Because it's been a rather interesting couple of weeks. One of you here, one of you not, and now I've got all three of us here. Anything in particular that you guys have thought about that you wanted to discuss while we were here, or should I just start rambling into a new direction?
Oh, I'm trying to think of something off the top of my
And
head.
I listened to something that I really enjoyed recently, but it's also already 3 months old.
Go
Okay,
on,
no,
tell us what it
talk
was.
about that. Yeah, just talk about
It
it.
was Black Diamond by Hagane, the
Oh,
80s
Uh,
throwback song that they did. And I just thought that was really a perfectly executed throwback. Like it really, yeah, perfectly writes the line on like not taking itself seriously, but also not, mocking the genre, but actually really appreciating it. And it feels like an homage to that time and a lot of fun. Musically as well as the video, I've really felt like it was really perfectly executed.
Hagane's been a big deal recently. I've had a lot of people
Yeah,
talking more and more
it's
about
kind of, I
Hagane.
was thinking to myself, like, oh my God, I think this might be my favorite Hagane song. But it's actually not really like that typical style.
hmm.
When you go to Hagane, because I mean, I don't know when you first got into them, but
I
obviously they
think
had that big change a few years ago.
yeah, I think it was quite around then.
Okay, I'm kind of intrigued because obviously I
I think I
still
heard
think of
some before. I think we had, what's her name, the drummer. Uh,
yeah
you
before
know,
Juna joined, yeah.
yeah, Juna, exactly. I think I heard
But
one release before that.
I have to, I mean, I've said this before, so I won't go into too much, but like for me, I kind of preferred the sound of the old Hagane, but I do think the songwriting kind of got a little bit like sometimes the songs would go off in these weird directions and just kind of sound like they got lost and there was the arrangements weren't great, but I liked the sound of the band. The new band, the arrangements seem to be tighter, but for me they're very much playing in that kind of, I guess we call it power metal genre, kind of similar to where Love Bites and such like are. um I was wondering for you, how you kind of feel about the genre they do, and do you think this song moves them forwards or sort of adds anything
Do
to
you mean the
what they would do?
genre they usually do or that they do in that song?
Well, the genre that they do since you got into them with the new lineup with Juna, Nagi, all of these in there.
Yeah, but
Nagi's the
still, I
cancer,
feel
isn't
like you have to take this song out of the context of
she? So
their
this feels really
usual.
different to you.
Yeah, to me, that feels very different. Like the
Oh.
riffs are a lot like simpler, even musically, everything feels very like there's this distinct synth sound that they also usually have, but everything is produced in that, yeah, old school hard rock vein, hair metal style. Uh,
Might have
yeah,
to give this
which
one a listen, I
totally,
think.
totally got me. You know, it's not a song that is actually unique or inventive or super, yeah, surprising in any way.
Way to talk
It's
it up.
No, but
Way to sell it.
yeah, but
you,
still, everything it does like perfectly.
yeah, you can do something familiar so long as you're going to take it to new heights. There's no point regurgitating something we've all heard before if you're not going to, sort of be really exemplary at it. So I get what you mean there. So,
Mhm.
Neon, have you heard this one, by the way?
Yeah, I have. I'm gonna be honest, it's been a while since I heard it. I think I only heard
Yeah,
it
it's
once when I reacted to it,
been
so
months.
it's
Yeah.
been a while.
Oh, you did a
Uh,
reaction to it. Okay.
yeah, a while ago, yeah. Hagane was it like Hagane, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Koi, um, where they have all the ingredients of a band that I should absolutely love.
Mm.
But for some strange reason, just they don't quite hit the level of like as you compare them to a Love Bites or or a Trident or around anything around that. They kind of remind me of oh, what was the band? Hold on one second.
Go for it, go for it.
Audius. They kind of remind me of
Hmm.
Audius. Like Audius was one of those bands where I was just like, they came and they went,
Yeah,
and I
I
was
get
like, I
what you're
should
saying.
love this band. And I was like, they got everything there. And for one reason or another, they just didn't quite break out. And Hagani for me is like they're making all the right moves. I like the new outfits. I like the new lineup. I'm waiting for that one song that really grabs me and is like announces that they're here a little bit. And I'm like, I'm rooting for them, if that makes sense. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
give me something. Um,
I
and they're just for one reason or another, just not quite itching that itch for me.
I would say, let me know what you think about this, but I would say that to be honest, given how much success and popularity they seem to have had with their own fan base, I mean, as I say, there's a lot more people talking about them
Yeah,
now than there was a year or so ago.
they
I
seem to be
suspect
quite
that
popular.
yeah, whatever they're doing right now, I suspect they're scratching the itch of the people who I think are their core fan base. So I think they to me, they feel like one of those bands where if what they're doing right now isn't necessarily working, then it might be a band that they're never really going to steer in a direction. I would say with Hagane, I, I again, I'm fairly neutral on them. I just kind of, yeah, it's one of those ones where when you listen to it, you're like, it's good, but it never makes me go, oh man, I need to come back for more of this. It's kind of more like, oh, that's good. But just the way Benedict's explaining this song, it feels to me like, oh, okay, they've tried something a bit different here. So I'm kind of intrigued to have a little listen and see, okay, maybe this is going to be the thing that like makes me go, oh,
I mean, I don't think
huh.
that is a style that they will, or like a route that they will continue to do. I think this was a one-off.
Do you think
Um,
it's indicative of like a willingness to experiment though?
yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of feel similar to you guys, that maybe they kind of need to focus down more on a certain direction. Like we like really say we do this and then focus on it and try to do this the best way possible and not
Like,
just
not
I
to
yeah
feel
be
we
like
that
they
do
did
like
though.
this cool
not
power metal.
yeah, not to be that guy, but Hagani, they
Oh,
remind me of an old saying, and I get you guys know this one. It's like they are a jack of all trades, but a master of none. They
That's a
do
bit,
everything well,
yeah, that's a
but
bit.
nothing standout-ish for
I mean,
me.
they are
But
really good.
they are really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good. But the problem with Hagani for me is if I put them in a playlist, would they be above all the bands that are in and around them? And the answer to that, for me personally, is no.
Yes,
They wouldn't
I I
hit that
thought I
high.
was on I thought I was on the same page as you guys until like the most recent comment. I will say that I'm in all fairness, I haven't listened to much of their recent music. But for me, they feel like so Benedict said about focusing and Neon said about Jack of all trades. For me, they always felt like they were hyper focused on one particular genre. They were doing that and they were really good at that. And actually, my feeling was the opposite, that they kind of like needed to expand out and try more different things and add a little bit
no,
more
but it's like
variety and use
you
their
said
skills
before,
better.
Howard, when you said they kind of their songwriting, they kind of feel like they get lost. That's where I feel like they kind of need to focus more.
That no,
For me,
that's
and
what
for me
that's
to
what I said about
explain,
the original lineup. I feel like this version they've actually fixed that, but the problem is
Okay.
they fixed it by getting themselves into a much more narrow genre. Um,
But to be
but
fair,
I
I
am
haven't
again, I haven't
heard
heard
too
some of their
much of
recent songs.
their
and for
recent
me, it's
songs as
just
well.
more of the guitar is good, the drumming is good, the singing is good, and when it all comes together, it's good, but it's not
I see. So what
brilliant.
you mean is all the components are really
Yeah, just
strong, but
everything is strong,
I
but none of
see.
it
I see.
is standoutish to me. Um, you know, like what we were talking about before, where we were talking about if a band pops up on a playlist, would you skip it? And Hagane for me is one of those bands where I'm like, no, I would listen to them every single time they pop up. But the problem is would I go back to like,
Would you search for it?
would I
Yeah,
search for
Yeah.
them? And
yeah.
probably not. No.
That's interesting. That is
And
really
that's a
interesting.
sad thing because again, they have all the components. They should have everything there that I should love. And I'm looking at them going, I should dote on you, and I don't know why.
Is it just because the bar is so high because there's so many other metal
Yeah,
bands?
that's
It's
what I
like
was
Possibly,
thinking as
yeah,
well.
possibly.
Like
it's
that's
not their
maybe they
fault.
need to find more of a niche, so to speak. Because
That's
I
where
was
I think I
thinking
more
of
understand
like,
what you
for
mean
example, I
then.
was
Yeah.
thinking of Pale Neo right now, and I was thinking,
Oh, Pan
Pale
Metal.
Neo is also a group that I wasn't like 100% sure of. There are quite a lot of groups that sound kind of similar, but then they added like all these unique elements, having songs that like go completely different or have like these neoclassical or whatever influences, songs that go all over the place. And that's where they really won me over. And that's kind of where I feel like Hagane maybe they need to, yeah, experiment
I
a bit more. Maybe I do agree with you, Howard.
I compared them to
I
Koi a little bit because that's exactly
love
kind of
Pan
like the
Metal.
same band in the
Sorry.
same situation of a band that has good things all across the board, but I just for some strange reason just can't resonate 100% with them. And I'm looking at them like again, I should like you, and I don't know, I just can't quantify or articulate why they don't fall into my top 5% of bands that I should absolutely love, but they just for some strange reason just don't.
Rejected.
Not rejected because if you played those songs, if so, if I was like not doing anything that night and I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
that Hagani or Koya were live at a live house or a gig near to me, I would totally go and see them, and I would appreciate them and I would
But if
like
Love
them.
Bites would play next to them,
Well, if Love Bites would have played next to them, then I'm sorry, I'm taking Love Bites like literally 110% of the time.
they
Um,
just need to play a show together. Then it's all
but
good.
yeah, I mean that's the best of both worlds, isn't it?
Imagine Koi and Love Bites playing a show together. It's just like everyone in the crowd is like a massive guitar solo fan. It's just like, oh, the guitar heads are all going to be here now.
But there's bands like that. Like not to, like I said, I don't want to be like an overly negative thing, but I'm sure we've all of us have got bands like that where we hear them, we like them, but for some strange reason we look at other people and they're like, you love them, and I don't see why.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
we
all that
are
that is our
spoiled for
personal opinion
choice.
about
Yeah, and
it. Like,
that's where music can become such a subjective
yeah,
thing. It's all about
exactly.
personal
Because
opinion.
judging by their popularity, it's probably exactly the opposite for a lot of their fans.
Mm,
I think
They
it
would
is.
rather
It comes
choose
back to
the
that thing
Hagane
again.
concert than
mm.
the Love Bites concert, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is very true that there is that spoilt for choice thing where, funny thing, if you take any of these bands and you drop them in like a different country, suddenly you'd be like, yes, that is the best band ever. Yes, we must go to their gigs every single day from now until we die. But the thing is that it's not their fault that they come up through a culture which just gives us more bands than we can deal with. I mean, I was saying to you guys the other day that actually, like with my channel, I do two reactions every day. Every day, two reactions come out. One will be from a series, and then one every day will be me coming up with a new band. Oh, this has been released. Check out this new band. Check out this new band. And it's literally got to the point where I've got like scheduled for like the next 3 weeks because there's more songs coming out every day that I want to like react to than there are days,
And
which
that's
means every
just
day.
Japan.
Yeah, and yeah, all the music I cover is for Japan.
That's the same with me. If I died tomorrow, if I kicked the bucket and died, like I got enough videos that I haven't posted on my channel to for that channel to
You need
keep
to
running
start
with like
releasing something,
with like
bro. You need
5
to start
videos a day
releasing
for 2 years. Like
Said it
honestly,
multiple
You need to
guys.
start
times. Neon
releasing
is
them, man.
he's already AI.
So yeah, like I could retire for 2 years and nobody would fucking notice because it would my channel
You
could pump out
you
like
need to release one because I get the feeling like Neon he records bunches of videos and then just never uploads them because it's like his channel will like have a video now, a video then. It's like he's got like 50,000 of them behind like the unpublished that he just isn't publishing. It's like he's gonna like upload one of them and it'll be him like sort of long hair and no beard. It's like, hi, welcome to Neon Reacts. I'm gonna be checking out the Spice Girls new song.
Unfortunately, I lost my hair before I started doing this, so I'll always be bald with these videos. Unfortunately,
With technology these days, you can just put some pretty girl filter over you. Then suddenly you will get
so I'll
thousands
be
of
I'll be
views.
a blue haired anime girl next
Do you know
time
what?
on my
I do
videos.
have the temptation to just do something like that, do a complete fake channel alongside my one, and just see
Hey,
how many
if you
views
have
I
an
get.
easy version of how we could do that easily, then we could do one East of the East
We need to do
episode
rule one
like
is
that,
to the
where we are
episode
all
as anime
beautiful
characters.
Japanese
Yes,
girls.
yes.
Just like yeah, just all
Konnichiwa.
suspiciously.
Hey.
You have to have that voice. You have to have that voice. Oh, my. I'm going to be the only one who uses a voice filter, clearly.
I love my baby Metaru.
It's just going to come. This is just going to come across so bad.
Really racist.
Yes. Oh man. Anyway, I think this has been rather productive. We've only got 5 minutes before Benedict has to go, so I think we should start to wrap this one up a little bit here. I'm going to throw something in at the end. I did mention this before, and there's a reason why I'm putting this in at the end of this is because it's a sad piece of news that some of you may well have seen. That there was a quite a beloved guitarist from the unsigned scene who recently passed away, and it's been kind of published a lot in the news, in the Japanese music news and everything, and especially online. And I think it's been kind of put into a lot of, should we say, it's viral. Hey, check us out! Isn't this so tragic? Kind of thing. I just wanted to say, if you have seen the news and you know about the young lady who passed away, because she was not super famous in her own right, but she worked on a lot of really cool stuff like Bang Dream Music and all these kind of things. She did some great projects. Go follow the links, and then instead of just reading the sad articles, go find out a little bit about her music, find out a bit about her life, check it out. And I always say, if a musician passes away, the way they live on is from you hearing their music and either being inspired to check out more artists or making music yourself. Just be inspired by what you hear from her and then follow on from that. But yeah, that was a sad piece of news, but I hope that people find something positive to do after you hear something tragic like that. So yeah, I just wanted to put out there a little thought. If you've been seeing that news online, please go learn a little bit more about her music rather than just the story, and hopefully go find yourself a little bit of something positive to take forward to the future for yourself. I'll leave it at that. And yeah, just a big thank you to everyone here who's joined us. Neon, Benedict, I'm always happy to have the two of you here to see your faces glowing with gorgeous beards at the same time. And yeah, any final thoughts before we check out today?
Nah,
Just wanted to say,
I think the next time that that I'm on is to the East, I'll be in Japan. So woo!
Yeah.
ooh, nice. How what will you be in Japan as well?
what a dick.
I was genuinely wondering.
No, oh, okay, right, fair enough. No, I won't. He's just gonna video me, and he's gonna be on my balcony, like breaking into my like apartment. Like, hi, Howard. How you doing, mate?
Living
But,
the life.
I genuinely didn't know that Benedict. No, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back home in Japan in January. So still 5 more months, but it'll be ticking over quickly. Sorry, Benedict. I didn't know that you didn't know, but fair enough.
Well,
All right, guys. So yeah, we'll be seeing Neon from Japan maybe next time. Benedict, are you going to be here next week?
next week, probably not.
Okay. Neon, are you going to be here next week?
Let me just double check.
Because
Just
if
wanted to
not,
say,
have an
adding
interesting.
Howard to what you said, just in general, try to make some music. I think it opens you up to a lot of things.
I'll be inspired to create anything really, just whatever.
Doesn't need to be
Yeah,
good. You don't
maybe a
need to
new
show
talent.
anyone, but just trying to create a song yourself. I think that already you can learn a lot about music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Animate
squeeze
yourself,
in
yeah.
Ears to the East next week. It's gonna be tight, but I can do it. So it'll be one more episode before I go to Japan, and then the next week after that I'll be in.
Will you be able to
I will do.
join from
So I'll be
Japan?
able to do. Yeah, I'll be able to do the 5th because
Yeah.
I'm traveling back from London. So it's gonna be tight. I won't get back till Tuesday night.
We'll work out the logistics
We'll
later,
work it
people,
out.
but you
The
might
12th
see
I
Neon
won't be
next week.
here because I'll be in London because I'll be about to fly
We'll
out.
post
So
a screenshot of all of our schedules
Yeah,
now.
you might. No, I'm not doing that. You might see Neon next week, and if you don't, you're going to see something anyway because I'll have plans. But let's put it this way. Big thank you to everyone. We will be obviously continuing as much as possible. As we say, if you want to suggest any guests or things, we've got a few people who've been in contact with who might hopefully help us on days when it's going to be a bit quieter. But we're obviously going to keep on giving you your weekly ears to these. And until we do, for now, remember to keep your ears.
Keep your ears to
Neil went
the
straight to that. He went straight to that. One more time. Keep your ears to the east.
somewhere.